on time so we don't run out of time like we
Perfect.
did last week.
Let's begin.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you guys so much for joining. I am Lois Kofi, a professional speaker, trainer, and coach, and I'm here to introduce you to my business partner, friend, colleague, Deepak Varma from India. So it's 9:30 there. It's 8 a.m. Pacific, where I normally am, and right now I'm in Miami, so it's 11 Eastern time. So wherever you are, wherever channel, if you're watching this live or recorded, we're super excited to offer up the service to you to inspire, educate, and empower you to have the best finish ever of this decade in 2019 and to jumpstart 2020. And we're building week upon week upon week upon week. So if you missed the previous weeks, Deepak actually has a web link. If you want to post that in there, Deepak, too, you can actually go back and see the first several weeks. This is also a paid program. So a lot of you are paid members or you're part of my sales team or what have you. And we're looking to grow this to ideally up to 1,000 members by the end of 2020. So we're leading by example. We want to share and cast our vision with you to inspire you to think big and to dream big, much bigger, much faster. So without further ado, I'm going to put myself on mute and allow you guys to make sure you have pens, paper, some way to take notes, whatever, it's computer, it doesn't matter, but we want you to take away some pearls of wisdom. So he's going to train you and then he's going to open it up for Q&A and we'll keep it short, concise, and end here in less than 30 minutes. Deepak, take it away.
Thanks so much, Louise, for the wonderful start. And I'll not waste much time as we start off on our journey for today. And we have covered a lot of stuff in the last few weeks, especially on vision, mission, on various things like Ikigai and understanding your passions and beliefs. And also we had the 12-week year, etc. So, and we had a beautiful session on gratitude last week. So I thought of taking it further to a different level on something called as mutual trust and respect. And it may sound, set of words to you which are philosophical, but there's a person called Adizes who in the US who is patented this. As strange as it may seem, he calls it MTR, and I'm going to kind of give a small prelude to what exactly is MTR. So we begin with this particular very well-known diagram. You also had the circle of control and the circle of influence, but this is a much more simplistic manner of things that matter to you and things you can control. And if you look at it, the focus really is on that central small arc in between things that matter and things you can control. So the entire vision, beliefs and all comes to those things which really matter to all of us. It could be personal, professional, it could be social, whatever it is. And but more importantly is of the things that matter, there's only those things that you can control. A lot of things are out of your control. So it's very wise to focus on those things which you can control and hope that the universe finds that a way to expand it further and further and make the arc a little more bigger. So we'll come straight to the topic, and which is mutual trust and respect. And this primarily focuses on something called as entropy. I know it's early in the morning to go for a physics class, but entropy primarily, in case you've forgotten it, which I'm sure you have, is primarily something which you learned probably in the 8th grade or 9th grade, and it stems on this particular formula which says that the energy in a room is limited and it goes on depleting unless there is extra energy put into the particular room. So it's in a sense says that energy is limited and it's not unlimited, and unless you infuse extra energy into the room, you will not, it will just go on depleting as it is. And that's what it's basically based upon. And it starts with this particular dictum that energy is limited. And in all of us, energy is limited, and we don't have an abundant source of energy around us. On a personal level, so this energy can be used for various methods. And just bear with me on this because I'm going to give 2 or 3 examples, and then it'll kind of slowly come into some sort of clarity on what MTR is all about in the next few minutes. So, on a personal level, this energy can be used in various manners, but many times, because of our own possible illnesses, worries, concerns, and various systems, there's a lot of chance that this energy is utilized by our own internal systems vis-a-vis. If the internal systems are okay and if there's no worries and there's no physical trauma affecting us, this particular energy can be used, uh, and from an into an external world. And they're very simple examples, and energy is limited from a perspective of an individual. And let's look at a perspective of an organization, or a nation, or a set of team, that you have. And again, here, fortunately, unfortunately, the energy is limited. So if you consider an organization that you're into, or it could be a family, it could be any particular unit that you're into. Now, the energy here is quite limited, and if it is spent in a lot of internal squabbling or internal fights, internal mistrust, and a lot of issues internal within the organization, the energy is used up. So if you have, let's say, 100 units of energy, if I may, put some kind of a, quantify it, and if you're spending 50 to 60 units in trying to resolve your internal issues, so you only have the balance 40 left, for the external world or the external, way you can go it. And again, on the right, you see, I've given an example of birds because I found it much more easier rather than finding synchronous human beings. And here is a case where they're well in harmony with each other, and which is why um, they can fly for long distances. And there's a huge theory behind this V formation of the geese, where the head geese keeps taking the tail, on regular intervals, and there's a complete physics to it as to how they really help each other to ensure that they can fly long distances, and they also ensure that each person is supported, and in case there's anybody who falls out, they take care, etc. And the V, of course, is primarily because they ensure that there is no energy loss, between in flight that is there. So that leads us to this particular formula, which I'm coming straight to without much of delay. And I'm going to run this in two particular slides. This is actually, this came in through a person called Adizes. He's a born an Israeli, but I think settled in the US at this point of time. And he's patented this particular formula, the success formula for a individual, an organization, or a nation. And that's how it's termed as. It's a success formula for an individual, organization, or a nation. And it's a ratio. That's the best part. It's a very simple ratio. And the one on the top is something called as external energy. And this is the energy that one has, uh, he or she, or the organization, the kind of energy that they use to ensure that they succeed in the external world. Now, if it's a person, it could be, maybe if it's a student, it could be how they succeed in studies or in the games. If it's a adult, it could be how they succeed in the work or in the family. If it's an organization, how they succeed in marketing the products or in the sales of the products. If it's a nation, it could be how they succeed in various the national policies and the various way the nation expands. But he divided by, and that's the key part, he divided this particular energy with something called as the internal energy. So what's the real internal energy that you're spending, which can decimate the whole process? So irrespective of how much of external energy you're using, but if you're dividing it by whatever value is the internal, the energy that is spending for internal issues, the entire success goes down. And he went on to codify this in a particular manner called as external integration, and divided by internal disintegration. Very simple formula. And the best part is the entire thing is just rested on this entire formula. Although there's a lot of books written on this, a lot of videos on this. But this is the formula which which codifies the MTR. And MTR primarily comes because the internal disintegration of a person, of a family, of an organization, or of a nation. That's the best part. It kind of runs across entities. Is based on two particular factors, which is mutual trust and mutual respect. And these are the two primary areas which kind of define the one which is the denominator. And to give a very simple example, and I just have 2 or 3 slides, and I'll open up to question answers because um, it's a very complicated topic, and I hope you have a few questions which I can tackle. So, high mutual trust and respect. It's a very simple example which has been given. So, when a team is taking a decision, so I'll repeat. When a team is taking a decision, and they are facing each other while taking a decision, okay, and they face away from each other when they're executing the decision, such a particular team can be said to have a high mutual trust and respect. So I'll repeat, when they're facing each other while taking a decision, which means they're in harmony with each other. And while executing it, they have the trust that, each person is going to be doing whatever they plan to do, and they execute it in the right manner. And so they face away from each other. And one with a low mutual trust and respect is exactly the reverse. When they face away from each other when taking a decision, which means they take decision in silos, and when it comes to implementing, they keep seeing what the other person is doing. So they keep looking at each other. So if you look at these two examples, it will kind of give an idea of the denominator, which is the key factor in the success formula, which is success of a person or a organization or of a nation. The denominator, the one below, is one which rules the roost, and MTR is a formula which can kind of come into effect and try to understand: do you have a high mutual trust and respect within your organization or within yourself, or a low mutual trust and respect? And depending on the answer that you give, your entire success formula can range from 0 to infinity. So one with a very very high mutual trust and respect, you could even call it couples who are very close to each other, or possible directors of a company who are extremely close. Or you have the 12 coders of Google in the US. They said they have 12 coders who work in complete trust and harmony. In such a scenario, even if 1 hour of work or 2 hours, even a small effort on the external part gives huge results, because the denominator is very low. So yeah, even a small effort on the part of such teams go a long way, because primarily the denominator is very low, less than 1, less than 0.5, and if it's 0, it's kind of infinite. So MTR is a very strong kind of a tool which is used to study organizations, to study the team effectiveness. It's very important to get the vision right, and go ahead in the right direction. And before I end, I just thought I'll have a quick video which will yeah, just a minute. So that was it from my side. I just thought of keeping it short and sweet. It's the MTR formula for success, and it starts from the individual, goes all the way to a nation. So I just thought I'll open it up to Q&A. Is there any questions? Any thoughts around it?
Wilton Cookie Baking Set.
I don't have any questions. Personally, Deepak, I think it's perfect because a lot of people on this call are in my sales team, and we talk about loyalty, unity, and edification, and teamwork makes the dream work. And I will tell you, and maybe you can speak to this. I've been in-person teams where we had an office and everyone met and we had a weekly sales meeting. And, that's part of the reason I love doing this with you. And I do a Monday morning mindset and a Friday freedom call to keep the team alert, unified, and connected to me and to each other. However, a lot of times, left to their own devices, people in virtual sales settings will, I call it, go into the witness protection program, or they'll disappear for a while, and then people tend to, in 100% commission sales, come in and out and in and out, and that's the disconnect a lot of times. Very different from when I had the in-person sales team. Is there anything you can speak to in regards to that, the difference between a virtual, since you and I have never met in person, right? But we're very communicative, very connected, and that's how we created this program. But it's just different for everyone, I think. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, again, I think me and Louis met around 8 to 9 months ago, and there's been a lot of trust and respect, of course, and that's how it's reached this particular stage, even without seeing each other. So again, there are very few people I have, whom normally, you need to have a face-to-face meeting, but this is one which has run on. I'm not sure when I'm going to meet her also. So it's good. It's actually run on quite a long time, and uh, it's all on the denominator. The energies that we spend in mistrust has to be as low as possible. So I'm just reading a couple of comments. Of course, thank you, Potala. We appreciate you and all the wisdom and knowledge, and Lucy, of course, on how she can apply it to 12-week year. Of course, yes, this can be applied, a lot to the 12-week year, and in your tactics saves a lot of time. Saves a lot of time. And one of the reasons I also mentioned nation, is because many times there are a lot of politics that happens. A lot happens in India also, as all of you know. So it wastes a lot of time. Internal, again, that's the denominator. Internal politics, internal issues, which ideally should be directed outwards. So the energy is limited. It's our choice whether to put it below or above. And the more we putting it below, the lesser we have above. Because again, the formula it starts all with entropy. Energy is limited. So if you're putting a maximum energy below, which is on the denominator, you only have x minus that energy to put in the numerator, which is where it should all be.
No, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of us, myself included, so I know you were speaking to me today, those internal conflicts or those internal distractions, emotional intelligence is so key, and having faith and focusing on the things that truly matter and only focusing on the things that we can control, that is critical to the success of any salesperson. So I'm so grateful that you could bring that up. And I know you do a lot of mindfulness and you do meditation. Is there any other tactics here as we kind of come to the end, unless there's other questions? Of course, guys, please don't hesitate to reach out. The community right now is small, and we want to get to 1,000 people. And I know I'm a part of another group that's got 8 to 10,000 people on it, and they still open it up for Q&A. And a lot of times it's a scary thing to ask questions in front of a group, but it's still 100% available to you. So that being said, do you have any tactics for if someone's having an internal struggle, conflict, maybe some negative distractions happen, and then they lose the fact of, hey, I can only focus on the things that I can control. Do you have any tactics or advice on that?
So there's a practical process I do, and I'm actually going to put it in the chat group. We can Google it later. It's called as the Heartfulness rejuvenation technique. And this is a very systematic process of trying to, it's very simple, just takes 20-30 minutes. But if it's practiced well, you can actually remove a lot of cobwebs within you, a lot of clouds and obstructions, and come to a more simpler and a purer state. So I practice it myself. In fact, I'm a trainer with this, and it's remarkable. So this is one thing I normally advise a lot of people to do a real active practice, because no amount of advice can really help. It has to be an inside out practice. So that's the key thing in mindfulness or heartfulness, that the practice has to be from inside out.
That's awesome. I introduced my team to a meditation practice that is that, because a lot of times we seek for outside when the answers always lie within, and just focusing on your purpose and your own being, and actually having mentors and supporters like us around to help with those reminders is the outside stuff for sure.
So others, any questions that you have, any thoughts, any experiences?
I don't know if this applies to what you're talking about necessarily. Maybe it does, but I am pretty straightforward. I try to be black and white. I don't try to be gray. Too much gray in the area, in the world. And it's frustrating. I find it frustrating to me that dealing with a lot of people that don't follow through with what they say they're going to do, and I would like to get rid of that frustration or that anger, because I know people are people. They just do what they're going to do. But I'd like to get rid of that anger that I have. Excuse me. That anger that I have, or that, issue that I have, I don't know if I'm conveying it right or anything.
You're conveying it perfectly right. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, Francine. And this is something which is quite natural and normal. It comes to me too a lot of times, because just like you, when I'm very honest, transparent, stick to deadlines, very sincere, and I see the world many times doesn't respond in the same manner, and it does cause a sense of frustration. And again, I go back to the same technique, which is the rejuvenation technique. And probably the week after or something, I might we can run a small demo on that particular technique, which is a very powerful technique which can help you to cleanse yourself from of these emotions, which in turn clears up your denominator, which is the lower portion, and in turn makes you more productive and successful. So it's all a link. The practice leads to a more successful outward journey. But yes, these are normal human reactions. It's quite normal, and you can't control. I think the first slide that I mentioned, things you can control and things that matter to you, and there's very little you can control about others. So I think you just need to learn to somehow adopt a practice, whichever it could be, to ensure you cleanse yourself of this.
Yeah, I find myself trying to avoid people that can't follow through with what they say they're going to do. I don't want any part of you.
Yeah.
because I'm just I try to, if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. And I don't make, me personally, I do not make promises that I can't keep. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
I agree.
I hurt somebody a long time ago by not keeping a promise, and then I made it to where, you know, if I say I promise you can, it's a guarantee. If I say that
Correct.
I'll try, it's not a guarantee that I'll do it, but I will certainly give it my best shot to try to do what I'm going to do.
Yes.
But if you hear the word I promise, you can bet, and it's a guarantee that it will be done.
Right.
So I find that I try avoiding people that just, I don't take too much to the garbage,
Mhm.
the BS that I see a lot of people try to give.
Right. Right. I agree.
And I look at them kind of like, yeah, right, I'll believe that when I see it.
Mm, I agree. I agree. Disturbs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, anybody else wants to add something? So, just wanted to take a quick your experience. We can start from Lisa and go downwards. Uh, what's been your experience in this particular series so far, and what are you looking forward to in the coming weeks? So, I just thought I'd take a few minutes and I'm just unmuting y'all. Y'all can quickly give your thought around it. We can begin with Lisa.
Sure. I think probably the piece that stands out for me that I still remember is when you talked about Ikigai.
Hmm.
And I took a lot of notes around that because for me, that was something that I started to focus on and started to implement for myself. So that one, and it's still sticking with my brain, the images that you put up and the information that you had provided about that. And I probably had heard about Ikigai years ago through some other
Yeah,
trainings, but
correct.
bringing that back up was wonderful.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. What about Potala? Is that, are you there?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm here. I just had to step away real quick. Hello.
Hi, hi. How are you? How do you pronounce your name?
I'm great. What was that?
How your name is?
Oh, just the way that you had pronounced it, Potala, or I
Oh,
just go by.
wow. Wonderful.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry if you asked a question. I had to get my children that are running around the house.
Oh, okay. No, I just want to check, how has been experience in the series so far and what are expectations, going ahead?
This is my first time actually being able to log on, and
Oh,
so definitely, like I said, I appreciate the information. Just being able to learn from others and to hear their perspective and just a different way of looking at things in life really helps to uh, help us to reflect back on our own life and carry it on a more positive approach. The equation that you had put up, it totally makes sense. If we want to have a success, there is a formula. The way that we think and the way that we act has everything to do with our performance and how we are successful in life. So that makes absolute sense.
thank you. Thank you so much, Potala.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Lucy, you want to add something?
Like I've been on, I think three different calls, and for me, I'm somebody that takes a while to process, and I'm finally allowing myself to do that more. I used to always kind of feel like from school you have to get it right away, and my way is really to go deep into things. So I've actually really been enjoying I've been reading the 12-week year, listening to it again, and I can see all the implications, and my vision is getting more and more and more clear. And then what you said today, I feel like I've got to process that a lot more, because that perspective on success formula is just really, like, I mean, I can't put words into, I mean, I could talk for hours because there's so much to think about with that. And I mean, I'm not going into it, but I mean, I just see the implications and what's going on in the world and people. I mean, I love the implication of just looking at ourselves, but then looking at how we affect people and then how that's really showing up in the world. So I just get blown away every time by how much amazing content you put in such a short time, and there's so much to think about. So, and to have you guys here as a source is just incredible, and it's such an incredible value that I get from being on Lois's sales team, and I want more people to know about it, and I want you guys to hit your goal. So.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good. Anybody else wants to add something? There's one number I see. I don't know if it is okay. So good. I think with that we come to an end. I like to stick to time. Yeah, it's 10:05 in India, so that's, I think, 8:35. So we meet you again next week, same time, same place, and we just going to take it ahead and ahead as it goes ahead. And we're trying to get into individual coaching and trying to see how each of you can succeed in your sales, in your lives, personal and professional, in a holistic manner. So that's the objective of this entire series, and we're going to run it across in 2020 and see how it takes us. So thank you so much, and with that, we sign off from here. Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Have an awesome
Bye-bye.
day.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.